Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
I assume Tom.
Every time I chat with this man, my day always gets better and better. Because of him, I used to have to pay for parking, even though I got it validated at the Inside MMA studios because of all the great stories he'd share. MMA legend, commentator with Karate Combat, Bas Rutten, who plays Dutch Decker in the new movie, and this is a long title itself, The Mason Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre. Bas, how are you today?
Doing good. How you doing? Been a while.
I get to talk to you. How bad could it be?
That's a great thing. I mean, I wish I could talk to me. I do that all the time in the mirror. I'm such an idiot.
It's because your nickname's the handsome one, so of course you're going to talk to yourself in the mirror.
I have to. You know, I'm like the Fonz. I see myself and go, hey.
Yeah. You're better than the Fonz because you don't even have to comb your hair. Fonz would sit there and reach for it. You're like, I don't even need hair anymore.
He was so funny on Here Comes the Boom. I stopped messing with him so many times on the set. You know, he's a very funny guy. I like the Fonz a lot. Henry Winkler.
Yeah, I got to meet his son, and his son did a movie that was really good. I can't remember the name of it right now, but if the son is 1/3 as nice of his father, then it's an amazing family.
Oh no, I believe it. You know, I was sitting. This is cool. It's I was what is somebody else? I was sitting at the dugout for the Dodgers, and we were watching the ball game. And this guy walked over to me and says, "Hey, you're Bas Rutten?" I said, "Yes." He says, "My dad can't stop talking about you." I said, "Who's your dad?" He goes, "Henry Winkler." I go, "Are you serious? That's awesome." You know, so that was I liked that. It was a good compliment to hear from him. So yeah, he was a very nice guy.
Well, you're working with Randy Couture on this one, and Mike O'Hearn. Mike is a natural bodybuilder and a professional as well. Mindy Robinson's in the film. They cheated you a little bit, Bas. I mean, they called the Dutchman Dutch in the film.
Yeah.
Like, that was a little lazy writing on their part. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but we'll explain the accent right away, right? There's always an accent popping up, and people know, and they go, "Hey, where's that guy from?" Well, Dutch Decker, and Decker could be a Dutch name as well. So yeah, Deckers for sure is with an S, plural.
Well, it's Americanized. You know, you immigrated, they screwed it up in the immigration papers. We know how it goes.
That's exactly how it goes. That's what they do with Sabastiaan. My name is spelled with 2 A's at the end. And when I sent that to people to book tickets, they edit my name. Like, I don't know how to write my name. So they make it 1 A. I go, what did I write? I mean, 2 A's. I had one time I was on an international flight, and it was just a guy who wants to be a douche about it. You know, and it took me like freaking 15 minutes there trying to explain. I go, dude, it's the same. Look at my freaking my credit cards, my everything, you know. I showed him my birth certificate, and it was just 1 letter difference. So, you know, just spell it with 2. If I spell it, I know. I had a fighter to come to me one time, and I had a T-shirt that said "I'm the boss," you know, and it had some funny drawing on it. And he walked over to me, and he's from Brazil, and he says, "You spelled your name wrong." And I go, let me think. I was born with that name. I said, no, you're wrong. It has to be 2 S's, he said. I go, that's a fish, bass.
At least you're still having fun with it, though, you know, after all these years.
Oh, yeah. No. And a lot of people still call me a fish. You know, hey, bass. It's like, come on, man. But I can understand. It comes from Sabastiaan, right? Sebastian. So maybe that's the reason. People keeping texting it. Let's turn this thing off.
All right. Well, this movie right here gives a whole new meaning to the phrase "roid rage," as Dutch gets his hands on a special kind of HGH,
human growth hormone, but it does something to him. It alters his DNA, and suddenly I've become this freak. And it's very funny, especially the whole story, how it all set up. You know, for the people at home, I don't want to sell it right away. But I think we saw the movie. I think they did a good job. Yeah. I really enjoyed working on this. What a great cast we had as well.
Well, the film's a lot of fun. You and Randy are having a good time. Michael O'Hearn's having a good time. Randy plays a guy with anger issues that doesn't even like losing at card games. That's my big spoiler from the film. You did some pro wrestling in Japan yourself for a little while, which your wife had told you to go back to real fighting because the pro wrestling was too dangerous. That does a number on somebody's head of like, wait a minute, professional wrestling, that you guys staged and choreographed was more dangerous than the MMA for you.
Yeah, because you let yourself get hit. Like, you know, I had my first one, I broke a disc in my back. And then the second one, I ruptured an eardrum. And then the third one, my eyeball, I got poked in the eye because, you know, you let yourself get hit. Normally I would block, you know, and I had a blind spot here, like below my eye for like freaking months. I go, man, I hope this is going to be okay again. So that's my wife said, yeah, maybe you should go back to big real fighting. You never had those injuries, you know, because, and that's the real, all the falls. That's why when people say, oh, pro wrestling is fake, I go, well, everything what you see is real. The falls are real. The hits are real. The falling out of it. I mean, a lot of, and think about this. These guys, I wanted to do pro wrestling one time, and we had a contract. It was a really good contract. It was going to be for the WWF at the time. It was still WWF, not WWE, which is the same company, but then you can see how long ago it was. And I really needed money at the time as well. And so I thought it was for like 30 shows. And they said, oh, no, the minimum is 220 shows. And I just had our youngest daughter was born. And I go, yeah, I'm really going to need the money, but that I'm not going to do. I'm never going to be home. Just without the traveling 220 shows. Like if you see The Rock and Stone Cold and all this, The Undertaker, you see those guys, you say, oh, look at him, he's a movie star. Dude, that guy did, you have no clue how many shows they did. They do like 10 a week. You know, 2 in one night sometimes, and they drive in the van and they eat in the van and they're up to the next show. And there's no hotel, you know, they're sleeping in the van. I mean, every pro wrestler goes through that. So I think it's pretty amazing when you see guys coming out like that on top, because most of the time they develop, you know, I mean, what do you do when you get pain? You start pain medication, right? There we go. You know, so a lot of these guys are hooked on pain medication. Then the alcohol comes because that intensifies it. You know, you have to stay awake. I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on there, but they're freaking athletes, man. They're really athletes, and they're tuned with their bodies.
Listen, when it comes from your mouth, nobody could ever dispute it. So that's the important thing, because you can't argue with Bas Rutten. Because now I see myself, I'll have the TV on mute and I'll be watching Karate Combat because I have to respond to an email real quick. And all of a sudden I just start hearing your voice in my head. No single leg kicks.
Yeah. And boom, and somebody gets knocked out because he threw one, right? Like, it is so there. Look at all the fights. I think like 16% of the knockouts are of single kicks. But no, don't listen to me. I've been only saying it for 11 years on Inside MMA every week. You know, boom, and go down again. Okay, do that. Whatever.
Well, I was so excited because Kenny was announcing boxing. Kenny Rice was the boxing announcer in the Olympics. So I was like, finally, I get to hear Kenny again. And I love Kenny. Kenny's been great. Moro is phenomenal. You, of course. And, you know, working with Randy in this film, it's always fun seeing you two together, because we've seen you banter back and forth as commentators in various promotions. And then Max Martini, who was in, Pacific Rim, is directing this film. And I think this is only his second or third movie that he's ever directed.
Well, he did a great job then, if this is only his second, because I was already thinking about asking him for an idea that I have, you know, to do something, because I think he did a really good job.
All right. Well, if you need a before and after photo shoot, you know, for the film in a comedic role, I'll be the before, you be the after. We'll be good to go. We got the same barber, you know.
Yeah, but you know, for this movie shoot, I turned to a completely different person. You know, I become a really angry boy.
Right. And Randy Couture is about to join us as well. Oh, you definitely become a real angry boy in that one.
There he is.
Randy's making his debut.
What's up, guys? How are you?
How you doing?
Great. Pop on the video, brother, so I can see you. Or you naked?
There we go.
There we go. Randy Couture.
I was just on that other pro wrestling deal, boss. I thought you were going to be on there with me as well, but here we are. Great to see you, bud.
Good to see you, man. It's been a while again.
Yeah. Randy, we were talking about Karate Combat, PFL. You know, the $1 million prizes are on their way, but we're talking pro wrestling, zombie movies, HGH in this. You know, definitely a tainted strain of HGH. I'm guessing it's not like, you know, FDA approved for this film.
Yeah, well, I think the FDA might even approve it at this point, the way things are going.
They're approving everything. I mean, yeah,
no doubt.
The little fun fact is that 75% of all the money that gets in is from pharmaceutical companies. Is that a conflict of interest, I thought?
Yeah. A small one.
We'll get Pat
decided
Miletich in on the
I
next
decided
conversation for this one for sure.
I decided I'd take my hat off because I want to be in the club that you guys are in. So.
Yes, it's the good club, the good guys club.
Well, Randy, I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend, so if you're going to be around at Extreme Couture, I'd love to pop by at least to say hello face to face.
Well, man, the gym will certainly be open, but I don't get back till Saturday afternoon. I'm in South Florida for our last playoff here for the PFL.
Oh, wow.
Nice, man. Well, I'm there till Wednesday, so maybe we can make it happen.
Okay.
But I love this movie, man. It's a lot of fun. Bas and I have been cracking some jokes, going back and forth about pro wrestling and everything else. People with their single leg kick that gets them knocked out, but the Mason Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre. Dude, this is fun. Pro wrestling, zombie, action comedy. Like, you guys are doing a lot in like 95 minutes.
Yeah, we had a blast making this film. Bas was amazing. He brought some really special moments to his character that cracked us all up. Chris Margettis and Mike Carey, who developed this film, were great. Hugely, their senses of humor are remarkable, and I think all of that comes out in this movie. But the best part was just hanging around with all these guys. We just had a blast hanging out.
Well, you guys are MMA fighters. There's pro wrestlers in the movie. Mike O'Hearn's a professional bodybuilder. DB Sweeney was in the cutting edge, so he got to at least figure skate for a while in that movie. Did you guys tease him a little bit about that, 25 years later?
Yeah, absolutely.
Poor guy. He's a great actor, though.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He's spectacular. If you haven't seen him as Shoeless Joe Jackson, that's one to go back and find and watch for sure.
Okay.
Well, you guys have a lot of talent in this film, man. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, it was really fun. I thought Freddie Joe Farnsworth, who was our stunt coordinator, did a great job of kind of working out all the beats for this for all of us. And Max Martini in his second outing, out as the director, had a clear vision of what he wanted to get on film. And, he wasn't going to stop shooting until we got what he wanted. So I thought he did a great job. He was easy to work with. He had a clear insight into kind of helping us find those moments and those things that he wanted to capture.
Right. And Mindy Robinson is in her 900th project at this point with this one.
I was just gonna say, she did freaking awesome, man. That was really funny.
The whole picking up the hot dog that scene I wasn't sure if I should be grossed out or turned on. It really confused.
How do you guys get pitched a movie like this? It's like, all right, it's going to be an action, horror, comedy, mixed with pro wrestling and MMA talent and everybody else that's going into it. And we're going to do this in, what was the shooting schedule like? Like 2.5 months?
Gosh, no, we shot this in 3 weeks. Yeah. So it was definitely, we were at it for sure. There was no dallying around. But I don't think you had to twist anybody's arm too hard.
Exactly.
To be in this. It's a great group.
That's it. Once they say who's involved, you go on, you don't even want a script. Whatever.
Yeah.
Is it porn? No. Okay, I'll do it.
Exactly.
Listen, I'm sure you guys have a market for that, especially with the Adult Film Awards in Las Vegas every year. So Randy could just take one of those electric scooters and ride on over from his place if he wanted to. But
I'm not that damn old yet. I don't need an electric scooter yet.
No. Those ones that you put the credit card in and you ride on, like the Razor scooters.
Bluebird or Blackbird or whatever.
Those things.
Right. Yeah.
I don't even know.
No, we're not putting you in a wheelchair. Come on, man.
Not relocated to the roundabout yet.
No rascals for you. All right, we'll make sure of that. Yeah.
What about, by the way, Dave Meadows, right? He did.
Meadows was.
He's an ex-Navy SEAL, very funny guy. Great stories also outside of filming, but I think he was really good playing a tough guy who's really scared, Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, the ego got to the room before he did. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Randy, you had made mention in one of the interviews regarding the Expendables that there's a lot of testosterone going on there, and there was a lot of ego coming out at times. How much ego is involved in a movie like this, and how much is put aside because it's a comedy in its essence?
Honestly, I didn't see any ego, and to be honest, there was very little ego involved in the Expendables either. I think everybody expected that with all the 16 name actors and all alphas and all that. But Sly kind of set the pace for that whole film, and I don't think anybody was going to get out of line. And I think all of us got along so well on Manson Brothers that there was no ego, there was no need for ego. We just had a great time taking the hell out, just harassing the hell out of each other and just having fun. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, boss, I do have to mention, you are the handsome one. You are the prettiest one on set. This is why half of us hate you, but we also love you for it. And you do spend a lot of time in the mirror, even though you don't need to comb your hair anymore, because we all got the same barber right now, Phillips Norelco, apparently. You're naturally funny. Does that annoy people at times that have to work at it, especially in a comedic role?
Oh, I don't think so. I think everybody knows where they are. I've been, listen, I had this horrible skin disease when I was a kid, so I was the kid that always got pushed out from the group. So there was only one way for me, negative attention, which was comedy in the class, make people laugh. So at least I got a little bit of attention, and that's why I don't shut the hell up still till this day. You got me once I start telling stories, somebody literally has going to say, okay, stop talking now, because it's way too much. So yeah, that's been born in from when I was a kid.
Right, because anytime I went to the Inside MMA offices, they'd sit there and like, oh, here's a 4-hour validation. You don't have to worry about parking. And then I'd still end up paying $30 because boss is telling stories all afternoon.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I shouldn't be thanking you. I thank you for the stories. The office should be thanking you for at least, getting paid for parking.
Yeah, I could have made a killing there. Yeah.
I'm convinced you had a 50-50 split.
That would have been, you see, then I wouldn't have done, I could have bought that movie that we were talking about now. Yeah, I would have had.
The Mason Brothers, 3.5 weeks to film this thing. It feels like, it's not a quick indie film. I mean, you can tell it's an independent film, but it's a lot of fun. It feels like you've had time to develop these characters and live through them and create something more than just in 3 weeks. How quickly is it for you to develop these characters in that short amount of time? And is it almost like fighting because it's done so quickly that you don't have to sit around and wait all day for shoots to take?
It's definitely more akin to shooting television. You shoot a TV episode in 7 days usually. So, and you're shooting fast. I think the characters, a lot of that comes from the amazing writing that Mike Carey and Chris put on paper. It was easy to relate to these guys and to who these characters were and where they were coming from. And then that coupled with Max kind of having a clear vision of how he wanted to put it all together, and the chemistry that we all had naturally, I think made it work really, really well.
Yeah, and I think also everything falls back. I say every job is pretty much the same. It's the preparation, right? And I think that just we're pretty close to what we are in real life. We did pro wrestling, and we did, we enjoyed that kind of stuff, just to be physical, and that makes it, of course, much easier.
And then on top of that, Mike and Chris were professional wrestlers themselves for a little while, and I think they're still wrestling as well. So did that make it easier to understand the story since they were so close to the industry itself?
Well, I certainly think that brought some authenticity to the script that they wrote, because they had been in the trenches. They'd been there and done that. I know Bas had done some pro wrestling in Japan. I have never done any pro wrestling, but it's not that far from walking out and fighting in that cage. So it's certainly not a stretch. But I think at the end of the day, those two guys brought some authenticity that we could all relate to.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I know we're running out of time because you have so many more interviews to do today, and I could talk to you guys forever as always. But a sidetrack from the Mason Brothers real quick. Bas, you said we might go to the future for karate combat.
Yeah.
How far would you like to go if they let you? And then Randy, who do you got in the heavyweight tournament for PFL?
Gosh, the heavyweight tournament is going to be interesting. I would have bet a lot of money on Dennis Goltzoff, and then he fell to Ante D'Elia in the semifinal. Bruno Capelozza has been on an absolute tear from day one. You know, he came up from 205. He's already beat D'Elia one time. I think it's going to be tougher to beat him the second time, but I think it's probably going to be Bruno Capelozza.
And Boss, Karate Combat is one of the best striking shows that there is, and I love the time travel aspect of this past season. You know, I think next week or Thursday is going to be the final. No, we left 1981 at this point, correct?
We left it now. Now we're going to go to the future. Yeah, but just like you said, if you how far do you want to go in the future? I go at the pace that we're doing on this planet right now. I don't want to get in 100 years because we could be gone. If freaking Armageddon is going to come, so I'm so worried. I mean, it's insanity, right? What's going on right now? So let's hope. Yeah, but I wouldn't say, oh, that's what it looks at 10,000 years in the future. I wouldn't want to take the risk. Maybe I'm ending up in the middle of space, you know, and then get the air sucked out of me. Maybe not. You never know.
Well, Bruce Lee did say we have 2 arms and 2 legs, so we could do anything with it. But 10,000 years in the future, we could add a couple of appendages.
I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, is that movie that was in what is those drawn movies? How you call them? With that spaceship, the people in the air who, you know, nobody walked anymore. Everybody was sitting in a chair. And that's what we're seeing right now. All the kids already at home sitting behind the computer all day long. You know, it's going to be worse with virtual reality once that starts. And then the crap that comes out of that stuff, you know, you're going to be in a cocoon. Literally what Steven Spielberg did, Ready Player One, that one?
Ready Player One, yeah.
I truly see that happening, you know, and that's not going to be good for the kids.
Yeah. Well, let's hope things get going. I know Boss's grandson is already training in Muay Thai, so he's going to keep that aspect alive and then beat the crap out of all the lazy kids wearing their VR glasses. So we see what's
because they're overweight little shits, and then he can easily beat them up. That's it. That's payback.
Yeah. That's generational payback for grandpa getting bullied. We're not encouraging bully, we're encouraging retribution.
Excellent.
There you go.
Bas Rutten, Randy Couture, thank you so much for your time. It's always fun talking to you guys. I can't wait till I can come back and sit ringside for some of these events. The Mason Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre, it's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate everything you guys do and, you know, taking the time to talk to me whenever you can.
Thanks for having us on, man.